Welcome to EdTech Tuesday. I'm Rich Dixon.
And I'm Jennifer Gibson.
Jennifer, which app have you brought to share with us?
Well, today I brought in an ebook called The Extraordinary Jenny Jones, but on the iPad it's just going to say Jenny Jones.
All right, there's a tremendous amount of ebooks that are out there. Some are free and some are paid. What about this one?
Well, this one is a fee. It's $2.99, so you need to consider, is this just a teacher app for story time, or is this something you want individual students to have access to? So you're going to have to consider that, because $2.99 does add up as you apply it to other iPads in the classroom. Now, the one thing I want to say about ebooks, some of them are where you just read and there's a little bit of interactivity, but not a whole lot. This one is one that has quite a bit of interactivity. So let's take a look.
Let's go ahead and launch that.
All right, so Extraordinary Jenny Jones, and what I like is they have some interactives right here on the screen. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at the note to parent and teachers. And I really want to say this is probably for elementary. I would put it in the K through third grade, but you could bring it into some of the upper grades if you have a specific purpose. So here's the letter to the parents and teachers, and talks about how to use this. They have a help. This is her chairman, Miao, and he's always here to help. So throughout the book, you can look for him, and he'll give you help. So there is some interactivity there. They also have sound effects, which you can have on or off, which is great.
That's a big plus because we all know that an iPad, especially without headphones, can be a distraction if you have a single student using something that other students aren't.
Now, if you had a number of these ebooks, let's say different ones on, let's say a small set of iPads, it could be a reading and listening station. They can read it aloud to you, or you can read it yourself. So you can choose how you want it to be read, which I think is great for different students' needs.
Yes.
They've got some, tap the circle on the second row, the third circle. This is a way to talk about development, keeping reading and imagination, and so they go into this whole storytelling and kind of the philosophy behind the book.
One thing I want to point out, I really like that the apps actually have some sort of gatekeeping element to them so that students don't end up chasing this rabbit trail and wasting time not engaging in the book.
And
so this is nice.
Just like you saw that probably, the way they set that up, it's probably meant that a primary student wouldn't be able to figure that out, but they could. So you go ahead and you open the book, and what's going to happen here is a series of sound effects and interactivity. So Rich, why don't you try playing around with it?
All right, so I see the setting here. I get a general sense of some of the characters. I'm going to go ahead and tap the arrow to the right to move on.
And so now it goes into the story. It's about dinner. It was part of her life, and so it talks about tomatoes in different shapes. You see different things happening here. You can interact with things. You can start to eat them. You can play around. Some of the things work and some don't.
And I noticed that the interactivity started to trigger the next page icon. So as soon as it looked like you were starting to interact, we could move on to the next page.
So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And so now there's something that's going to happen here.
All right, let's go ahead and try interacting with some of this here. I'm noticing this chord here. Go ahead and tap that. And tell me a little bit about that.
This brings in the settings again. So right now you can adjust the sound effects and read alouds. You can look at different pages throughout the book. So it's a way to skip ahead. So it's just a little way to find out where you are in the map of the book.
Excellent. Let's keep moving through this.
And I just love the graphics. I want to point out they're very well done. Some books are not as high quality. They're a little bit more simplistic. But this book really works on sound and engagement and interactivity. And we have a number of other books that we may have time to review in the future that we can share with you. But you'll see there's just a lot going on here.
So, Jennifer, I think if we were to summarize what we're seeing here with this ebook is that there's a level of text that's provided for students.
Right.
There's the ability to have that text read out loud for those students who are either pre-literate or are moving into a set of vocabulary that may be new to them and would give them a great introduction to that vocabulary.
I think so, scaffolding there.
Exactly, building off of that. Anything else in terms of pros or cons within this app?
Well, I think the idea behind ebooks is that in this particular case, of course, there's different purposes. This one is truly about storytelling and the creativeness around storytelling. And then the interaction that's unlike any other time that students have had with books. You consider the circle, the teacher's reading, the students are listening. Now, the students are going at their own pace. They're playing and engaging with the book. They're listening or reading the book to themselves. So it really brings a new level and dimension to storytelling.
And one thing that I'd like to mention out, it's not necessarily a con with this particular title, but with some ebooks, there are potentials for different distractions with some of the interactive features.
I think they did a good job.
And
of
these
keeping
guys
those.
did a great job keeping it focused, the interactive elements directly tied, it looks like, to the storyline. So that's a really good compliment for this
I think
particular
so.
book.
I think that you will enjoy checking it out. Jenny Jones, Extraordinary Jenny Jones.